Previously on Back in the Day.
Today we are discussing Are You Afraid of the Dark? On this episode of Back in the Day. I'm Dan.
And I'm Keith.
The episodes that we watched were The Tale of the Mystical Mirror, The Ghastly Grinner, and then The Tale of the Laugh in the Dark or something.
Yeah, Laughing in the Dark.
Yeah. What was your favorite?
So my favorite, so it's interesting because although I agree that I think that the most production was in the pilot,
Yeah.
I actually liked the Mystical Mirror.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think I liked how classic of a tale it seemed.
Yeah.
Like it really drew from sort of like
Gothic
morale tale. And so it became something very interesting to me. And I think I was very interested in the way that it set up the world. And it was actually a very narrow world. It was good because like it made you vulnerable a little bit to have to stick to such a small group of people.
Yeah. Let's set it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So in this story, it was the first one we watched, and it was the most like moral heavy episode. So I thought every episode was going to be like super heavy handed moral like that. The other two we could talk a little bit more, but they weren't as much. So this one was about makeup and beauty, and it was talking about how you shouldn't focus. That's not that important. You shouldn't just be focusing on making other people be satisfied with your appearance and things like that. And so it was an all-female cast within the actual tale.
Within the tale,
which is really interesting. And it was basically about this woman, like a fashion designer, who had all these young women working for her. And she would suck their youth out of them with their beauty, and she would make them drink this thing that turned them into dogs. And the one girl who didn't really care about beauty and was kind of out, a little bit odder looking.
Not that she didn't care about beauty, but she didn't let that become
rule her.
Yeah. Like she was not like, oh, I'm above this, but she was just sort of like down to earth.
Yeah. Well, she had kind of like some of the final girl tropes, which is like she's able to notice things that other people wouldn't.
The watch.
She notices the watch left by the girl who was supposedly hadn't been there but was actually turned into a dog. We did not see the dog part coming. We just thought she killed them. So my assumption here is that this show plays around with the idea of people being killed, but no one ever actually dies. Because we had the father of the guy who drew the ghostly grinner. He came back from the dead. We had the girl who died at the beginning of the mirror.
Well, they never said that he died. They said that he went missing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He got sucked into the universe.
And same thing with the girl who we quote unquote like disappears or runs away from home at the beginning of the mirror episode. She ends up being saved because she's a dog. She's not dead. So interesting how they keep a kid friendly.
Now that she wasn't going to kill the dog, just to be fair, the witch turned them into dogs and then was going to stab them. It
was a nice random contrivance so that they didn't actually kill them. But
I think it's supposed to be, I'm sure it was supposed to be metaphorical and it's supposed to be part of this ritual. So
So I want to talk about this one. I think is the most interesting to talk about as far as like the moral, like the social implications or whatever. Like, do you think it's a good thing there was an all-female cast?
I think it was actually probably was in this case because it isolated it down and it had such a range of character types.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of the character types really was punished wholly for being who they are.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had the mean girl but she didn't they didn't leave her to die or anything.
And you did have the main girl was supporting her friend, and her friend was the most important thing to her.
And the friend was in the middle. Like the friend still was victimized by it and susceptible of her own vanity. Yeah. But she still, she wasn't like a bad person. That was very obvious.
Yeah. Well, so it's an interesting thing because on the one hand, I feel like you could argue is there something wrong with the fact that because they're talking about vanity, it has to be an all-female cast. But in some ways, I think what they're arguing is they're trying to make it so that girls don't feel like they have to be that way.
Right.
Because they're saying society is telling girls that they need to care about their appearance.
Especially, I think, because when you go back to the campfire, the girl who was telling the tale,
Yeah.
you know, when the kid goes, so are you the beauty or the beast? And she goes, neither.
Yeah.
I'm just me.
Yeah.
Makeup or not. So she's not even anti-makeup.
Yeah.
She's just saying, I'm just me.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really great neutral place to leave it, and it's a very strong
She also says,
affirmation of
oh,
self.
that makeup stuff, that's fine for some people, or something,
Right.
something to that effect.
She's not saying, oh, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it was actually very tastefully handled. That's why that was my favorite.
Yeah. It was, I mean, obviously, it was very goofily heavy-handed.
Yeah, no, yes, but
the
for
actual,
what it was.
Yeah. I think generally, especially for the time, I think they did a pretty good job. I think the one thing that would be maybe shifted nowadays to sort of modernize it a little bit is talking more about how it can be empowering and that you don't have to make yourself look good for a man or whatever. You can just, yourself, you feel better because you feel empowered by, and you like how you look in it, and that you also just might like makeup and not have to do anything with boys or what, like.
I feel like that wouldn't work as well on this particular setup because you have the witch and that whole thing. So I think that as a metaphor, it doesn't work. So
as well.
It'd have to be a different kind of story.
Yeah. So, but in general, I did definitely take notice that all three stories had some like sort of spunky female characters, and they were kind of going into that like girl power mentality.
I mean, we'll get this as the month goes on. We do more of these types of things. I mean, during this time period, we had a lot of characters like that. Like when we did our review of Under Wraps.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of thing that used to be pretty widespread when we were growing up.
And it's clearly like that wasn't a fully like that idea was good, but it wasn't fully hitting the mark of what needed to happen. But at the same time, I feel like we've gone a little bit backwards in some ways too.
Especially because usually if you do have a strong female character in a kid show, it's often to the point that it becomes either a joke or it becomes sort of like what I would say the costume of the idea, where it's like you're saying something, but you're not actually doing or saying it.
Yeah.
You know.